The story that you are about to hear is a compilation of documented true facts, featuring characters, events, or places that has played a role in shaping history. Please sit back and listen as I recite this narrative for you.
A number of women have been found dead since June 1985. Most of them lived on the street. The victims lived a transient street lifestyle, most of them involved in prostitution and drugs. Most of them were strangled, found nude, and dumped in isolated parts of the county. Most of them were white and in their 20s. Lieutenant Bill Baxter of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department Homicide Detail thinks many of the slayings fit the pattern of a serial killer. He has set up a special team of investigators to work the cases. And he has sent his men to Seattle to compare notes with the Green River Task Force, where officials believe one man may be responsible for killing as many as 46 women, many of them prostitutes. And many are believed to have been picked up off city streets like El Cajon Boulevard, killed, then the bodies discarded along remote areas of Interstate 8 headed east. When the prostitute killings began in San Diego in the summer of 1985, the police feared that the Green River Killer had moved down the coast from Washington state. But as the body count climbed towards 10, they realized that another, but just as elusive, serial killer was on the loose. Then almost exactly 3 years after he had started, he stopped, leaving the police baffled. He has neither been identified nor caught. The first to die had been 22-year-old Donna Gentile, last seen alive on June 22, 1985. Her naked, strangled body was recovered 3 days later in the neighborhood of Mount Laguna, rocks and gravel packed inside her mouth and throat. Since the slaying of Donna Gentile, there have been 42 other victims. Donna Gentile allowed herself to be befriended by several police officers, thinking that she would get some protection in her dangerous life on the streets. Instead, she was harassed and ultimately victimized by some of the same police whom she had asked for help. She reported them to the San Diego Police Department and testified against 2 officers, one of whom lost his job on account of her testimony. Then the Internal Affairs Division persuaded her to become a police corruption informant. Donna was so scared that she left a voice recording with her attorney beginning with the words, "In case I disappear." And on June, her brutally murdered body was found and her autopsy was sealed, the first and only autopsy to ever be sealed in the city of San Diego. The second victim was a young Jane Doe. Her body, badly decomposed when hikers found it near a rural creek, had lodged beneath a tree limb on July 22, 1986. Nearby, authorities found clothing and a wedding ring believed to be the victim's, but the evidence has not provided any clue to her identity. Theresa Brewer, 26 years old, was next to face the killer's wrath. Bound in a fetal position and probably strangled. Her body was found on August 3, 1986, identified 3 days later from a comparison of dental records. Sophie Glover, 37 years old, was found in August 1986 in the 2200 block of Madison Avenue. Her body laid out on a grassy area next to the curb and covered with a green blanket. Debra Stanford was found in February 1986, lying against a van parked near 30th Street and El Cajon Boulevard. On April 23, 1987, a group of illegal immigrants discovered the nude, decomposing remains of Rosemarie Ritter, aged 29. Despite a ruling of death due to methamphetamine poisoning, she is listed as one of the murderer's definite victims. 2 months later, on June 22, 32-year-old Anna Varela was found in Pine Valley by joggers who nearly stumbled over her naked, strangled corpse. Sally Moorman-Field, a 19-year-old prostitute and drug abuser, joined the list on September 20, 1987, stripped and strangled prior to her discovery by bicyclists. The cause of death was undetermined 5 days later when the decomposed remains of Sara Gedalecia, a 36-year-old transient, was discovered at Alpine. Sarah F. Thornton, 36 years old, found September 25 by a passerby in Alpine. Dumped about a week earlier, her cause of death has not been determined. Likewise, on October 19, the authorities could list no cause of death for 24-year-old Diana Moffitt, but dismemberment of her skeleton placed her on the victims list. Another Jane Doe victim, found at Rancho Bernardo on April 13, 1988, had been dead for a week when her body was discovered. The cause of death once again undetermined. Melissa Sandoval, a 20-year-old junkie prostitute, was last seen alive on May 21, climbing into the car of an unidentified trick. Her strangled body was recovered 8 days later within 30 yards of the previous dump site at Rancho Bernardo. Then, for no discernible reason, the killing stopped. Baxter ticks off several reasons why a serial killer might target prostitutes. A man could have contracted syphilis, herpes, or AIDS from a prostitute. His wallet could have been stolen during a trick. He could see himself as doing society a favor by raiding the streets of hookers. Baxter hopes to complete reports for the FBI detailing specifics on each of the cases. The data will then be forwarded to the Bureau's lab in Virginia and entered into the computers of the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. Under VICAP, evidence in the San Diego slayings can be studied by computer for more overlapping characteristics compared to other possible serial cases in the country. Then a psychological profile of a potential suspect can be drawn. The program is designed to help spot serial killers, particularly to match characteristics of certain crimes with those in other cities. The Bureau also can design a psychological profile of a suspect so detailed as to include the man's approximate age, race, marital status, educational level, career, and social skills and behavior. The profile is not magical, said an FBI spokesman in Quantico who asked not to be identified, but lots of times it offers very good direction. Theoretically, it can curtail someone's criminal career. The program began in 1985, and last year, the center drafted more than 600 psychological profiles. Because of the demand, the FBI said there were more than 20,000 homicides last year in the United States. It could be several months before a detailed profile is obtained. It could even be longer before it is learned that the San Diego killings match a similar crime spree elsewhere. A number of the women knew each other. Donna Gentile, Cynthia Main, and Rosemarie Ritter were friends. Anna Varela, Sally Moorman-Field, and Jodel Jenkins were also friends. Two men who were later convicted of prostitute killings in the San Diego area during 1988 were suspects, but nothing linked them to these killings. There was a great deal of speculation about another one-time suspect who has since died. Again, there was no hard evidence linking him to these killings. The murders of these 10 women remain unsolved.
Hey everyone! I just wanted to express how grateful I am that you took the time to listen to my narration. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I am Twysted Mind, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Salamat!